Yo guys, what's going on? It's Duel Unlocked here, and today I'm going to be reacting to MBT's Duel Links video. So MBT actually played a ton of Duel Links recently. He hit max rank in both Speed and Rush Duel, which is pretty impressive, not gonna lie. First off, we're going to see what he thinks about skills, what he thinks about the formats, and everything alongside that. So, with the skills, he's talking about them having restrictions for all the skills. They have consistency, so they improve consistency and they help going second here. So that's like what he said about skills. Let's see what he thinks about them in general when this loads.
Now, I may be in the minority here, but I think this rocks. It is such an elegant solution to so many of the fundamental problems that playing Yu Gi Oh! Causes.
So I'm guessing those problems are bricking, which probably happens a lot in TCG and Master Duel, as well as going second, which Duel Links does help with a lot, and adding cards to your hand, adding cards to the field, helping if your opponent controls no monsters, things like that.
First and foremost, I will say, as a person coming back after a hiatus, having to read all of these long ass skills sucks. And the reason it sucks is because it's in a really unintuitive place in the UI, and you have to
Yeah,
scroll
if
all the
you're
way
just
back up
coming
because
back
otherwise
and
it's just going to
you
be
have a
really quick
million new
activating. You
skills
got
to
to go
read, it's
back to
going to
the
be
top
pretty
and be like,
hard.
when did it activate at the start of the duel? Here's all the text on it. That was really annoying. But once you get them down, it is really enjoyable that you never brick, that your opponents never brick, that their deck has to be so full of engine to trigger the skill that you.
That is true. It is very, very hard to brick, but I wouldn't say never brick. Trust me, I bricked on Utopia, I bricked on Despia. It is possible if you play enough games, you will brick, but it is extremely rare. Like, for example, in the Rush Duel finals, like Galaxy, I believe, bricked, which was like a 99% chance of never happening, and it happened in the Rush Duel finals, which is crazy.
You will be playing engine versus engine almost every game, and that you don't feel like absolute dog shit when you lose the die roll because you're like, oh shit, I get to start with an extra branded in red and
Yeah,
blue. That's so
Duel Links does do
unbelievable.
its best to
I
solve the going
love
second problem.
this system. And honestly, having played a lot of like 2018, 2019 speed duels, I vastly prefer it to the way that games used to play out.
All right, so I think that what I'll say here is that there's definitely going to be a lot of people that agree with him, as well as there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with him here. The main reason is because old Duel Links appealed to a different audience, I feel like, than new Duel Links appeals to. People who enjoy like current meta decks will definitely like, or people who enjoy like current TCG are probably gonna like Duel Links more now than they did before. While people who like the old school like formats and stuff will probably like old school Duel Links more than they do like now. But there are people who will enjoy them both, and it seems MBT does prefer the newer format.
Um, so what this deck attempts to do is make Masquerade the Blazing Dragon, and if you're unfamiliar, in Duel Links, all of the burn effects were cut in half to accommodate a 4,000 life point pool. This one was not, because it is a payment, not a burn. And for that reason, it's busted as shit. It's not unbeatable, though, because you only have to really dedicate half of your deck space to engine because you never brick. You get to play a ton of non-engine. Book of Eclipse outs this. Forbidden Droplet outs this. I saw a ton of Book of Moon, of Forbidden Chalice, of Dark Hole on my climb. All of these deal with this card under certain conditions. Of course, you can protect it from Dark Hole. With this deck,
All right, so I'll say this: there are also kaiju's that do out it, but it is basically you do have to open the out, and if you don't open the out, it's going to be pretty very hard to deal with. Which is so just open the out is the solution. But it is like that for a lot of
aims
different
to do is
cards.
make
So,
Masquerade the Blazing Dragon and then get like an Aluber
and to be fair, your deck size is very small, so the chances of opening those cards are also increased too.
and a Dramaturge on your side of the field, which you link off for a.
I am surprised he's only playing one Dramaturge. Like, you'd feel like he'd play more. Another thing to note in his deck is he's not running the Dark Lord Contact, which I think he probably doesn't have. I don't know if he knows about box chips. I don't think he does, but we'll see.
Condemned Dark Lord to search Dark Lord Morningstar, which you can then summon on your opponent's turn with Branded in red into the first Dark Lord, which wipes your opponent's board. This sounds crazy, but it's really only okay. It does win the game a lot of the time, but not always. I mean, especially in the mirror, things like Branded Opening can protect their stuff. You get into Dark Lord Wars a lot of the time. Forbidden Droplet does deal with this card that otherwise can't be targeted. One of the things I like about the extra deck in Speed Duels is that they've curated the card pool in such a way that it resembles NR. Like, these cards that just do everything aren't really there. You know, Baron is in the Master Duel both a card that can be part of your end board and a card that outs your opponent's board. Here, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, there's not really things like that in Duel Links. Like we don't have like Appaloosa, Baron, or like ton of Omni negates in the extra deck, which is like a good thing. And like it does rely on a lot more engine cards. I will say like the only like really non-engine cards that you see a lot of decks run are like the Phoenix, the Unicorn, Goddess, like those the IP Masquerade as well. Those are like the main ones.
yeah, the cards you get to play are the on-theme guys, and maybe some conditional negates that require your opponent not to have anything to deal with it or interact with how you perform the negation function. I love this format, and I love this game a great deal. Like the TCG
Hey, shout out Duel Links, let's
or
go.
Master Duel rather, the metagame in uh, Speed Duel feels pretty stratified. It feels like SP is the best deck by a lot, followed by Shadow, which occupies, I guess, Ryziel's slot. And then there's other decks you can play. The difference is, one, there's other decks you can play, and two, I think all of them have what it takes to make King of Games really easily. Ancient Gear is like Earth Machine. Chimera is the budget option, but also really, really layered. It gets to make Nightmare Magician all the time, thanks to the skill. Sky Striker is just the same way it exists in the TCG, and Utopia has one of those busted skills that plays the game for you. Really, really cool stuff. Rush Duel.
All right, so yeah, I'd agree with him here. If we take a look at the tier list here, all of these decks on the tier list can hit King of Games. Even some decks off this tier list can hit King of Games. So there are a lot of different decks to choose. Some are going to be more expensive, less expensive than others to play. Like Utopia is going to be really cheap, while a deck like Shaddoll is going to be very expensive. Striker is going to be very expensive. Chimera is going to be pretty cheap.
Duel, I played Hero. This deck is pretty self-explanatory. It uses the old Hero monsters and this card Fusion in order to make Flame Wingman into Shining Flare Wingman, which is an OTK, or you can make Elemental Hero Burst Wingman, which pops back row. I liked this a great deal. The skill enables you to search Fusion more frequently and means that you almost always have access to some of these really cool cards. They have a card that we don't have in the TCG, Rising Hero Argent. This card allows you to reveal like one of the vanilla named guys from your extra deck, and then you can add the vanillas named on it if they appear in the top 4 cards of your deck from your deck to your hand. In theory. In practice, what this card reads is normal summon this card, do nothing.
So it seems like he had some pretty bad luck with Argent. But this card is actually pretty good because you can just get, if you do get like semi lucky, you can just add a avian or Percentrix. You could even add potentially both. And then with your skill, you can send it to open the slot to summon a fusion summon and go in for damage, of course. So it is a pretty important part in Rush Duel, but it can also whiff. I do agree on that.
The deal with Rush is they're kind of hurting for trap cards. This card, Shiny Shady, is the only good trap card, both in Duel Links' version of Rush and in Rush proper, which is really funny. It's like you have to play around exactly one card. And I mean, Rush is just so fun. I talk it up all.
Yeah, Rush is really fun. I will say there is one other trap card that is like insane, but the only reason why it doesn't see play is because it is limit 1, so you have to choose between it and Pot of Greed. Compulse is an amazing trap, though, that if you really wanted more traps, you could run this, but I think in Heroes, you'd really want to see your fusion pieces, so you don't choose to run it. But this card, and then like the traps like Trap Hole, Widespread, they're okay. They're not crazy, of course. There is also Executy that you could run if you really wanted to, but it's not like super great. So I can see why. Yeah,
Kind of games.
Shady is
Going,
by
going, going
far the best trap. So if you want it, the best trap, you definitely want to get
all
Shady.
the time. It's a blast. Um, in order to get to Rush King of Games, I had to go plus 37 because I started from Rookie. In order to get into Speed Duel King of Games, I had to go plus 97, courtesy of starting in Rookie and the extra ranks.
That's an insane amount of games. 100 games to get to COG, basically, in Speed Duel, or plus 100 wins, basically, I think.
Uh, like levels within ranks. The only bad part of both Speed Duel and Rush Duel is
Let's see what he's going to say. I'm going to guess monetization.
it's trapped in Duel Links. It's
Okay.
trapped in Duel Links. So Farfa got a lot of shit a couple of weeks ago when he made his video entitled "The Decline of Duel Links" about how Duel Links was really cool and good, and he calls me a clickbaiter. Anyway, he got in a lot of trouble because at the end he was like, "It sucks that Duel Links cost so much money." Although I did spend $50 and I got like 3 meta decks. I got a lot of the branded stuff, the Chimera, and of course he had Emancipators that he was gunning for. But I just wish it had costed less. And he got like 1,000 videos calling him a stupid, know nothing idiot, which is true, but not for this reason. He said they were saying that it was because $50 you got 3 meta decks in the TCG. You couldn't get 3 meta decks for $1,000. And I just want to address that real quick. This is going to shock many of you at home, but Farfa is wrong.
Go away. I'm kidding. I'm
He's
kidding.
just totally wrong about how much those decks cost. I think he saw that he was getting some of the branded cards, and he was like, I guess I have most of the branded deck. Like, I got a couple of Alubers. I basically have the branded deck. That's not true at all. Like, all of these cards being URs from different places makes it prohibitively expensive to get to them, even if, like me, you have a base of staples like DD Crow in your collection already. This deck cost me $250.
Okay, so yeah, here's what I'll say on this. You don't have to have every single staple to have it perfect to hit King of Games. If that's your only goal, you can get away without Droplet. You probably get away without Book of Eclipse. You could just run like pure engine. Like, let's actually take a look here, and we're gonna go to top deck speed. We're gonna go to let's take a look at free to play decks. Are there any Despia ones here? There's 28.5, 26.5, 26K. Let's just take a look real quick. There's even there's like a ton of them here. So here with one copy of Aliber, I think you could definitely build this deck with one copy here. Some Kaijus, these are free to play. Veilers, most likely most people will have a Veiler. They'll also have the Crow, and then of course some other options here. You could get Book of Eclipse, which I think it is fair to get two book copies of Book of Eclipse running through Majestic Magic. That's like one box, but then it's just the other all the Despia cards are in. So with one run of the box, and then like one run of the Book of Eclipse box, you can basically build this deck. The first Dark Lord is going to be in Starving Venom, so I would recommend just potentially just Dream Ticketing this, and then that will save you a lot. And then most people are going to have Phoenix. Pentastag is pretty easy to get it because it's a normal card. Condemned Dark Lord's also in Starving Venom, so maybe it is worth just pulling in Starving Venom as well. So that will add up. But I'll say this that never felt like I needed a second. Like, see, you've never really needed Gold Sark to banish. Yeah, yeah. Um, Another thing is, I think he just went straight in, spent a ton of money. You don't have to spend money to get the deck. You can just grind gems. It's gonna take some time, but it's not necessarily 100% you have to spend money to get this deck here. I think he just wanted it's like pay to skip basically. Like you can grind, but you can pay to skip the grind and get the gems and get the cards, which is going to be a lot probably what he prefers to do as a content creator and not have to spend the crazy amount of time to do it. But it is an option. You don't have to spend the money to get the deck. Is what I'll say.
I'm comfortable spending that amount of money because I know through videos like this and the streams we did with this deck, I will probably make it back in some way. But like a lot of people don't have that option, you know. Same with the Rush Duel deck, almost the exact same amount of money. Of course, I had almost none of this, but still, I mean, be reasonable. If what you want to play is in a main box and it's a required UR3 of, you're going to have to go through that box 3 total times.
All right, so yeah, here's another thing. The heroes are in a structure deck: the 3 Argent, the 3 Avian, the 3 Percentatrix. So those are like you can get those for like $10 for all three, basically. You also got a free copy like a while back, but he probably didn't play back then, so he doesn't have it. Miracle Fusion is a bundle card, so that's going to be like 1,000 gems and go into the newest box. You will need to pull two Burst Wingman and two Shining Flare Wingman. Those are in different boxes, so those are going to be the most expensive parts alongside the Voltic, I believe, is in the same boxes here. The Shadies are going to be expensive. The Circulations are also going to be in another box, but those are an SR, I believe. The thing is, Rush boxes are all mini boxes, so you basically an SR and a UR are only different in if you spend money. So you still will have to go in for a bet. So heroes, I can see being pretty expensive. You don't need the curse that is in a selection box. It's probably going to be a lot more added to the total. You will need the star restart, which I believe is star restart in the hero structure deck. Let's see, star restart. Uh, it's Infusion of Revolution, which is a mini box. So yeah, you will have to go into quite a bit if you had never played any of these. But if you've been playing Rush a long time, you definitely would have Star Restart. You would have a lot of the hero stuff. Uh, Shady's a new card, so it will be pretty expensive. My recommendation, I've always told if people if you want to play Speed and Rush Duel, I would make a separate account for Rush and a separate account for Speed because it's going to be a lot easier. You can focus all your gems on your Rush account on the Rush cards and all your gems on the Speed account on the Speed account. But for someone who just wants to play the game like MBT, it is going to be pretty expensive, especially if you don't want to do any grinding. I can see that and have no
And
cards from
that's
playing it
just
previously.
for one. Three of you are. God forbid there's.
But I'll say this: you could build heroes free to play as well, but it's gonna be a grind to get the deck, especially if you want 3 copies of Shady. So I can understand this one here.
Split up into two boxes, or you're splashing something in your strategy. Like $50 for top decks doesn't seem like a lot, but being more realistic, you are playing a gotcha game. They're not letting you stop at 50.
All right. Let's take a look at Chimera, right? Uh, I think it depends on what deck you play, right? As well. Like, if we take a look at potentially, let's see, top deck speed, top deck's free to play. Let's take a look here. So for 23,000 gems, you could get a Chimera deck, which is just basically running through this box 3 times, and just like a few extra cards here. It's kind of fun. You definitely don't need 3 Apprentice. Let's take a look at this one. Although they are all on 3 Apprentice, interestingly enough. Yeah, I guess everyone's just running 3. They just go through that box 3 times. Here's one with 2. Yeah, I think like the main thing is Duel Links would be a lot better if you could craft the cards you don't have, especially like in the older boxes, like let's say like 3 sets plus, it would be perfect. But
They certainly didn't let me stop at 50, and I felt reasonably lucky when it came to my pulls, with the exception of one of these Burst Wingmen, which was the literal last card in the pack. The other thing that kind of irks me about this argument is it's an argument about ownership. Like, when you purchase the TCG cards, they are not going to hold their value over time, obviously.
yeah, you can always resell TCG cards. You can't do anything with Duel
There's a
Links
super
cards.
aggressive
Makes
rebate policy, but they'll
sense.
hold some value. You get something like an unexpected medical bill or an unexpected expense, and I've been in this position a ton of times, you can move them for cash. You own them, and they are yours to do with what you wish. These are digital. Someday, hopefully in a far-flung future, they are going to pull the plug on Duel
Yeah,
Links.
hopefully
And when they
very
do,
far, far down the
all of
line.
these cards are going to vanish into the ether along with the money that you spent on them. There is no resale market for Duel Links. There's no crafting system. There's no mechanism to get more
Hopefully, yeah,
for the
crafting
cards that you
RIP.
already spent. It is a gotcha game. They gotcha. I don't know. It is just a type of ownership that I think people have been conditioned into accepting by the way that games work now. And it's so frustrating to see someone pointing out an intuitive understanding of the fact that this is exploitative and being met with, well, paper is more exploitative when he just got.
All right, so I think okay. So what I'll say here is that he knows about all the cards. All right. How should I word this exactly? He's making the right argument, but not for the right reason. Well, kind of, I guess. Like all the cards you could obtain free to play. The main problem I have with Duel Links monetization here, I don't know if these cards are here right now. I'll see. Do we have these cards? Yeah, we do. All right. So the main problem I have is with selection box cards, selection box exclusive cards, because those cards you cannot even obtain with gems. So, for example, like Underworld Goddess or the Dear Servant, cards like those, IP Masquerade, like cards that you can just basically spend tons and tons of gems and not get the card. That is the main art. That's the main thing that I'll say. I do not like selection boxes. I don't mind the regular boxes because you can get the cards, but selection boxes are the ones that I hate, absolutely despise. Like they should never come to Duel Links. If selection boxes never come to Duel Links, would the monetization be that bad? I think it's honestly not that bad because it's like I said, you're paying to skip. As long as they keep providing more and more characters that you can grind gems on, you play the game, you should be able to build these decks free to play, especially getting the staples alongside as you go. Things that they could do to improve it: give us more dream tickets. Like recently, they could have given us a UR dream ticket. They did not. They should have. And also, I mean, obviously, if they had crafting for like older sets, it would be amazing. We are getting a super big update in a few days, or at the end of the month, so we'll see. Maybe they'll add some crafting. Highly doubt it, but you never know.
Got the numbers wrong. Anyway, these are the decks that I used to get there. I really cannot talk up Rush Duel and Speed Duel in Duel Links enough. I just wish they weren't in fucking Duel Links. I really hope that things are done to Master Duel. I think the future of Master Duel.
Yeah, I'll give a like to this video. Let's see what the comments said. If you ever had a second kid, this intro is gonna make a comeback. Going second bonus effect in skills is legit one of the smartest things Konami has ever come up with. It's the one thing in Duel Links that doesn't make me auto surrender when I lose the coin flip. I wish they didn't do the same in Rush Duel. I just wish they didn't do the same in Rush Duel where every skill is only usable. Yeah, it does feel like that. Like a lot of that, I agree with that one. I will watch this type of cat. Yeah, yeah. I want to play Rush Duels, but Duel Links is so expensive. I never even tried. I'm already playing Master Duel on a regular basis, and with how expensive these decks are getting, it's getting harder and harder to stay free to play. Favorite thing you've done that isn't play returns? I mean, I'd be down. Uh, since I lost my Duel Links account long ago, just about the same time that Kashtiran got banned, went to Master Duel and played Nerf's Kashtir early into Rush is the most I can remember. Alright, Lightsworn, okay. Things I love about dueling speed duels is old decks that are getting a chance to shine because of skills that help them in the areas where they were traditionally weak. Perfect example, Gusto is tier 3 right now. Gusto! Let's go. True Gusto best deck. I've had more success. Alright, well, alright. Master Duel stuff. Thanks to structured decks, you can get most of the hero cards in Speed Duel very easily, whereas before you had to go through a lot of very old boxes, but that's for the most expensive decks. Yeah, okay, yeah, there's a ton of like differences to it. Like there are decks that you could build very free to play, like Chimera. Uh, there's decks that are super expensive. Strikers being the number one example for a deck that's super expensive. Alright. Anything else? Master Duel. I disagree with the part that you need to spend hundreds of dollars for decks in part. If you play normally, yes, this is what I'm saying. You can normally have a lot of meta decks for free for years in the same account. The problem, and the big problem, new players, it's very difficult to pull staples. The worst part of playing Duel Links is the new and returning player experience, and Konami does very little to change it. They are going to be giving a structure deck update to the new deck on September 2nd, so we'll see if that is any benefit here. And let's see, probably some of the best Duel Links has done is making some skills require you to play a deck an anime character intended, like Eternal Bond. That's probably the first time I've seen an Elemental Hero Neo Bell deck work as intended. I finished Branded for free. The dragon is 950 gems and comes with like 20 packs. You only use two Aluber, and the other staples are super easy to get into, like books or super and crows. You can use stream tickets. A new account I made and finished starting the same list. Yeah, it took 8 days. Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. It's pay to skip. You don't have to spend the money, but it is nice if you have it and you're willing to spend it. You can instantly get the deck, and I can understand people don't want to spend the time. Let's see if there's. We'll read one more comment. Okay, the thing about Farfetch you being wrong is that you don't have to spend money in order to get meta decks. Farming new characters, the events that are going to make the world missions give you enough gems to get a good deck and update them like with time. There are also budget decks that can put the results. I've been consistently doing this for like 4 years, never spent a cent in COG each month when I had the time to grind the ladder. Alright, so that is what I'm gonna say, or that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, MBT, for playing Duel Links. Very glad you enjoyed both formats. And I will catch you guys next time. Remember that like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out, everyone.